Hello? Anybody
Hi.
there? Hi, how
Yep.
are you doing? Been
I'm
enjoying
good.
your vacation?
Yep.
Okay. Um, let's see now. I just got a note from your father. He said he's going to be able to press record, but I'll take notes just in case. It's tricky. Um, talk about a couple of things. We haven't talked about, that commencement speech your dad gave.
For what, like, the CNN Heroes viewing?
For the grade school?
Oh,
Let me find.
yeah, for Nettle Horse, right?
Yes, the Nettlehorst commencement. I'm including parts of that in the group. Were you present?
Yes, I was there.
Uh, 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 what kind of impression did it make on you? I guess the things he said you knew already because you lived with him. He taught you, he'd mentored you. But
Yeah.
give me some of your thoughts at that time. It's quite an honor to talk to a graduating class of a school.
Mhm. Well, to be honest, I don't really remember a lot of what he said.
Mhm.
But I do. But I remember. I was. I remember. I. Got. I remember. We went. We went downtown. To Nettle Horse because it is further away from us, and I got dressed up
You hadn't
for
been
it.
there before.
Huh?
You hadn't been there before.
I don't think I have been there before that time. You might want to ask my dad that.
But it was your grandpa's school.
Yeah, yeah.
Almost 60, 76 years ago now.
Mhm.
Well, he was talking about some things just to bounce them off of you. He gave four points that were particularly important that he wanted to drive out. One was don't set your mind. It used to. I'm reading to you now from his. It
Mhm.
used to be said that you can do anything you set your mind to, but I encourage you not to set your mind at all. I recently read a story about a woman who had decided in high school to become a doctor. Now, years later, she said, I have a career chosen for me by a high school kid. You will have to make decisions and commitments, but make sure they're yours. Always keep an open mind about them. And take no pride in making them any sooner than you have to. Now, how does that resonate with you and the way you
Um.
approach life at your age?
Well, yeah. Um. So. So when so in a way, because now that I am in high school,
Mm-hmm.
it's like people are starting to ask, like, what do you want to do for a living, as sort of like a serious question, because they're gonna be going to college like in 3 like in three
Yeah,
years.
you have to be choosing a major. What are you going to be a
Yeah.
major? What are you going to major in? That sort of thing. So you sort of have to think about it. I'm sure you talk with your high school counselors about college and those types of things, or you will be more as you get toward the end of your college career. I mean, but do you have any idea do you have any idea now what you want to be, or is it still sort of up in the air?
I I really honestly don't know positively, because 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 again, it's like things change, and people change, and it's like, so I'm honestly not that much in a hurry to figure it out right now.
Well, that's just what your father's point was. Don't get set in your ways early and get trapped in something you don't like or don't want.
Yeah. It's like I have like a lot of friends who already know what they want to do, and and for a time and for a while I was jealous of them because they already knew, and I still really don't. And then I just kind of realized that I don't have to know right now. And
you don't.
And like eventually I'm going to have to know, but I don't have to know right now. I can experience it for myself and see what I actually really do like. And those people that sometimes say that they positively know what they're going to do, they might know what they're going to do and they might stick to that, but they also might not. And I shouldn't envy them for that.
And you might even change your majors in college. My brother had a degree in city planning from the University of Illinois, and it took him about 10 years to figure out. Well, he eventually became an oral surgeon. So frankly, I knew at the age of 15 just what I wanted to be, but it just happens that way sometimes.
And it's like my best friend. She wants to be an author for she wants to write stories, and I asked her if you had to choose now, what would you do? And then she said, well, I want to be an author. And then there's this other friend who is who really wants to be really wants to be an actress. She wants to be on Broadway. She wants to go to NYU. But then she also says, well, if that doesn't work out, then I want to be a biologist. And then for a while I envied them because again they know what they want to do, and I just don't. I hate the feeling of just not knowing. And then
that's what your father was warning in favor of. I mean, he was in favor of how you're thinking, because he says, you think about it, make decisions, don't be rushed, don't make them any sooner. There's pressure always in the world on people of all ages, really. A very standard question in an employment interview is, so where do you want to be 5 years from now? And I was asked that when I did my employment interview in Sun Times many years ago, and my answer, frankly, was I have a rough idea of some places I might like to be or to be doing, but I really never plan. Well, I joked a little bit. I said I never plan more than 2 weeks in advance. I do plan more than that, but but there is pressure to get you on a certain track. And your father was recommending, and so are you, to resist that, keep an open mind. Are there things that sort of interest you now that you might see yourself going into, or is it's still the whole array of possibilities that look at you?
Well, I mean, my plan, at least for sophomore year, is for electives. I'm going to continue to do sort of the business route. So
you've got a track record already there. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So this year I'm in business and tech. Next year I'm going to be in sports marketing and entertainment. But it's a 1 semester class. So second semester I'm probably gonna try something sort of artsy. So maybe So maybe like digital photography or ceramics. I'm gonna give it a shot and see how I like that.
Well, you're tasting, and that's what you do. That's what the whole idea of school is about. There was an author. His name was Louis L'Amour, and he wrote frontier novels, and I got to know him. And he liked to say, "Life is a banquet. I'm just trying to get to all the tables I can," and that's what we do. That so you could go in any number of ways, and you're trying them out. The one hard and fast rule, it's been said by a number of people, but they say find something you like to do that you enjoy, if you can, and that you can make a living at, that you enjoy, and then you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah, that's what my mom says. Find something you find something that you like to do, and you never work a day in your life. So, yeah.
And I believe that's a very fine one. Let's try his next point of the 4. Understand your fears and face them. In a world as free as the one you're entering, some of the strongest forces holding you back are the fears in your own heart. You'll find that the sound of your heart, we call your passion, are faint compared to the loud cacophonous clanging of your fears. Learn to face your fears early. Most important, learn to fail early and often, and publicly if at all possible. You'll find that failure is like an old barking dog that terrifies the neighborhood but has no teeth. You need to get by that dog a time or two to understand that. How does that resonate with you?
Well, yeah, I definitely believe in like failing as much as you can because that's how you learn. But the thing is about failure is like if you fail but you keep doing like the same things over and over, and that's how you're failing, and you never learn from it, then there's really no point to failure. So
right. Well, you learn. You learn from your mistakes, and you learn from the mistakes of others that you observe. And I'm trying to remember. I believe it was an Edison quote, and he was talking about a very tough project he was working on, and he said something like, "Oh, we haven't been failing. In fact, we've discovered 98 ways this won't work." And that's how eventually you find the way it does work. You have to sometimes go through 98 ways it doesn't work.
Yeah. And I definitely believe that failure is one of the most important things you can do to succeed.
Have you overcome fears so far in your young life? I mean, suddenly you were thrust upon the public stage, being interviewed by reporters, standing on a stage, so forth and so on. That's never easy for anyone when it first happens, or very rarely people natural to that. Did you have to work at overcoming that suddenly you were being public with their product?
In some ways, because generally overcoming the fear of talking to strangers, or the fear of going in front of like a class and like giving a presentation. That's something that I more overcame when I first tried musical theater, because one of my friends, we decided to like go to this camp together. It was a performing arts camp, and we started out as one of the younger kids, so we got like majorly like more minor roles and plays, and then I was like, all right, I'm fine with this. I don't really have to like actually like say much. I can just kind of go along with whatever other people are saying. But then I ended up really loving it, and my friend actually ended up hating it. So I went on until I grew out of the age limit. The first time I was in Pac 3, what they called it. It was like the oldest age group that you could be in, and that's where you would audition for mainly larger roles. And I remember the first time, because the camp counselors, they wrote the the like original plays. Um, it was like I think it was like a family goes to a circus, and this is also like a like and this is also a Jewish camp. It was at the Jewish Community Center. So I played a grandma.
In what play? You said it was original theater written locally, or was it? Do you remember what play it was?
It was I really do not remember the name of the play that the counselors wrote. But
that's what I mean. It was written locally. It wasn't a famous play.
Yeah, no, it was written by the counselors, like by the camp counselors.
Okay.
So I remember I played a grandma, and which was called Bubba. And I remember like me and like my my friend, like me and like my other like tax-free members, like we rehearsed like this for like a million times before we got on stage, and before we actually before it was opening night. And even then I was like terrified, and everybody sort of was, except like I was probably a lot more terrified than anybody else was. But I got but I remembered when the curtains opened up, like I got the first laugh out of the audience because I had this old lady voice. Do you like sort of know what I'm talking about, like the old lady voice?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I got the first laugh out of the audience, and from then on I just kind of like ended up just loving it. Just like loving going up on stage and entertaining people or talking to people, and
overcame the nerves.
Yeah, and I guess the happiness that I felt when I said the line, I guess it just kind of like overcame like the whole the whole nervousness when it comes to like being on stage and talking to people. And and then the more plays I did, the more my confidence grew. So
well, as it's said, you learn by doing, and you as you've said before, you were growing up, you were naturally shy. You'd whisper in your father's ear to order dinner at the restaurant or supper at the restaurant. But the more you do it, the more you see that that's the problem with fear. You fear things that aren't really there, and then when you do it, you see, well, that's not so bad. I guess.
Yeah. It's
what was the favorite role you ever played in school theater?
My favorite?
Or your favorite play to be in?
Probably Into the Woods Junior. I was in that in the second semester of 6th grade.
Into the Woods?
Yeah, Into the Woods Junior.
Okay, that's a play I'm not familiar with, but and so you enjoy. You're going to be doing more of that in high school, or is it? It can be very demanding of your time if it's not a primary interest.
It definitely is still an interest. It's more of like I don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, you have to make choices with limited time. Okay. Third point he makes is take responsibility for charting your own course. Have others fixed a course for you? Learn to disappoint them. Frost's paths in the forest. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Robert Frost's poem. Are largely gone, and that metaphor we can leave aside. And so are the days where you would entrust your future to your education or corporation or even social norms. You must take responsibility for understanding history, the great works, the broader world for yourself. These form your map. And without that, you can't really know the greater context in which your life's journey has meaning. Your map may not be a better map than others create, but it will be your map. Most important, you won't have any illusions when it came from some infallible source. And as it's yours, you will know when to depart from it. Yeah, there are kids growing up whose parents pretty much announce to them, the father might say, I'm a doctor and I want you to be a doctor too, that sort of thing. And it's not necessarily the right choice for a kid. Your father seems to have really encouraged you to think for yourself and take chances. How are your feelings on that point?
Yeah, I definitely feel that from him. He a lot of the time he'll be I'll ask him about something and then he'll say, well, it's your choice. and then at first when he says it's your choice, then I'll usually go with the safest route or the normal way to go. Like, for example, it's like, where do you want to go to eat? It's your choice. Let's just say like the normal restaurant like a restaurant that we've been to before like multiple times. And then like as I got into performing arts and musical theater, I started to take chances. And then there's also, of course, a lot more recently, the photo bombing project. So we kind of have to go somewhere new every time so we can photo bomb the cup into into different restaurants. So yeah.
I don't know about the photo bombing project. What's that?
So basically, what we do is we go on Yelp because it seems like
you and your friends, you and your father. You and your friends, or you and your father, or who?
Me and my dad.
Okay, and tell me how that works.
So basically, we would go on Yelp, find a place that we haven't been before, and we would eat there, and we would bring a cup, and we'd bring a kangaroo cup, and we would take a picture in front, and we would take a picture in the restaurant with the cup in it, and we would post it onto the restaurant's Yelp page. So it would get more get more noticed.
Well, that's funny, and we'll be talking about it in a moment. But just so I don't forget, I was revisiting the Amazon pages. That you have two Amazon pages, one for the plastic cups and one for the ceramics. And the Amazon ad said only 10 left. Are you planning to have more ceramics, or are you phasing them out? Staying with plastic, or is that a decision you made yet?
Yeah, we're planning to have more ceramics out and plastic.
Okay.
Same thing.
Well, just so you know, Amazon has only 10 left.
Yeah.
People who might want to buy them.
Yeah.
Find your last point. Find your passion and your destiny not on a distant shore through a set of binoculars, but right in front of you. Not by observing, but by doing. Experience the world as it comes, living moment by moment in the present. They say a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. In fact, it ends with a single step and has single steps all along the way. Our lives are not lived by grand proclamations or sweeping decisions. It's often only in retrospect that we realize what the important moments were. Focus on putting your energy into the daily tasks and daily decisions instead of asking what the long-term impact of your daily work is. Ask simply if it brings you satisfaction and joy. If you have truly opened your heart, that question will be your best guide for knowing when to continue and when to change direction. As you venture out in this world, you will meet people who won't know your background, who won't know what you've learned and experienced. They will throw around words like impossible and can't, and in dark, inevitable moments of disappointment that will come, their words will echo. But he says impossible doesn't always mean impossible, but only impossible for me. Can't means only I can't or I can't imagine. Don't listen to those words. Just keep going. But it's interesting. He talks about the momentous decisions or proclamations, and we've talked about it before, and it's in the book. Just one day, your dad asked you a question. You want to proceed with this, and you said, okay, sure, why not? Or I can't remember I don't have it in front of me. And that seemed like not a momentous decision, but it turned out to be, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
That was just acting in the moment. Yeah, let's take a look. Let's give it a try. But you certainly had no idea. Now, looking back, you can see those are some of the most important words you've ever spoken. Okay, why not? And that's pretty much what he's saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I go I go by the phrase "okay, why not" a lot, honestly, because if I can't find a reason not to do it, then I will do it. Like it's like.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
if you don't give it a try, you'll never know.
Yeah. So it's like. So yeah, I think that's just another example of how taking risks and just kind of like say, all right, why not? I think that's just another example of how the phrase "all right, why not" is just something that you should do, even if you just do it once, because again, why not?
Yeah, you might say, okay, why not try something and say, well, I know I won't do that again,
Yeah.
But you've learned. You've learned. They always say, look before you leap, and that's very wise. I mean, look before you leap. Just size it up and make sure it's doable, not dangerous, whatever. But the inclination, as you said, is to leap if it's doable, to see what it's like. If
because
it seems.
Yeah, it's like one time I went on this retreat in North Carolina, and we were planning to go zip lining, and we had a choice whether or not to go, and I talked to my mom about it, and then she said, all right, well, one, please go, because I'm probably never going to go, and two, if you go and you don't like it, you never have to do it again.
No.
So, yeah. But yeah, I think another important thing. Important thing, adding on to failure. I think another important thing to do to succeed is to take risks, and if again you end up hating it, or it just ends up not working out, then don't do it again. So, that's just another thing that I think I'd like to add on to failure as a way of succeeding.
Yeah, well, that you learn by doing.
Yeah.
And I like your dad's speech a lot. I'm looking for ways to include parts of it. He doesn't want it to go on too long, but some parts as one of the chapters. Now, move to Amazon. We're going back in time now. By the way, when you were in Carolina, how old were you? When you were going out to Carolina, the story you just told, how old were you for that? Roughly.
This was like 2 years ago.
Okay.
I believe, yeah.
I have some excerpts of some of the customer reviews. Have you paid much attention to them, or not paid a lot of attention to them over the couple of years?
Yeah, we've been paying attention to them because there's always something. There's always like comments. There's always like reviews where it's like, I think you should do this to make this better, or blah 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 blah. And then there's always like those comments where it's like, this is a great product, blah 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 blah. And then there's also like the comments where it's like it's where they're just where it's just like where it's just like here's what happened, and then we'll just basically say, we're really sorry, could you email us about the problem, and and yeah.
Well, yeah, you want to make sure they're satisfied, and you can learn about how to improve the product, as you say.
Yeah.
It feels good though to see somebody say, here's one. I just received my cups 30 minutes ago. They are awesome.
Yeah.
Way better designed and built than I originally thought they would be when I backed the Kickstarter. So that can't hurt to hear praise. Let's see, to find some others in your comments. And the one person said, beyond in your Kickstarter and Amazon, you talk about how you can put them on the ground, you can put them on the carpet. I mean, they're stable enough. Here's someone who said I could put them on my bed. I'm still not sure I'd recommend that. But fantastic cups. And there was a nice touch for my great-grandchildren triplets who are 18 months of just learning to drink from a cup. So in a way you replace it's the whole range. Little older people with disabilities being able to drink better, and little kids. That's kind of nice. Sort of replacing sippy cups. Remember your sippy cups?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Amazing product. Just trying to find the right excerpts. I've been working on those this afternoon to see if you have any comments, because I want to quote some of the reviews in a chapter, just about how the response was. The response better than you thought? Did you expect it to be? I mean, you must have. It was a beautiful product. You knew it when you sent it out, but you never know. As I said, you never know until you step out on the stage if people will laugh or applaud.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I didn't really know what to expect, honestly. It was like I didn't really know if I should expect bad reviews or really good reviews or yeah. It's like I just really didn't know what to expect.
And you had some people who said, well, there's one who received the replacement mug and it was broken too. This happens. Stuck in a bad mug vortex. But I guess you couldn't take that too personally. Shipping is shipping, and things break, no matter what. If you're sending out a lot of things, not everything's going to arrive just right, depending on the breaks, so to speak. Go through this. Well, some people thought, and I think we talked about this a little bit before. I'll check my notes, but initially it was just the ceramic mugs, and some people said maybe they're a little too heavy for someone who's older and weaker. Did that sort of nudge you guys toward going with plastic as the alternative, or did you have that in mind the whole time? In other words, were these suggestions helpful to you? Did they point out something you hadn't occurred to you too much?
Yeah, they did point out that something that I had never really thought about. it was, yeah, it was, yeah, yeah, and then I just kind of started to think about it more after I saw that.
And these be, as I say, you say you can put them on the ground. I'm sure people I haven't found any comments from anybody, but I'm sure people have used the plastic ones if they go, just camping for the weekend or something, or out fishing, because they're sturdy, they're light, and you can pour things in them.
Yeah.
So, and that's for people who don't have mobility issues. Just a very handy cup, in all kinds of situations. Have you? Yeah, I think I mentioned to you before. A question occurred to me about maybe a metal sippy cup, but the plastic for camping, for more rugged activities. But the plastic's pretty. I was just looking at one again today as I drank coffee out of it. They're very sturdy. You could toss them across a room. I didn't, but you could toss them across a room and they'd be fine. Now, in all the things we've talked about and all the notes and things you've done, is there, and I still have writing to do on CNN and various aspects of this. Is there anything we haven't touched on that you think we ought to touch on? Anything I've been missing? An event or a thought or anything like that? And this may not be for this call. It may be something to think about. Because we want to get the story complete. We want it to be concise, but in all the in the whole story of you and the cups that you think we could pay more attention to, judging by what we've talked about so far.
I can't really think about like an event now, but I'll email you if I think of anything.
Just have it in mind. The basic. I'm dealing with high points after the cup are the customers and the CNN and the White House, but you did a lot of interviews. I can't just go through each one. What I'm doing is I'm attaching links to all the different stories about you. Because if I keep telling the story about quoting stories about you, they're always the same story, so it becomes repetitive. So I'm picking the high spots, and it strikes me that, well, you correct me if I'm wrong, that the two high spots as far as honor and publicity for the product and such were the CNN and the White House. Does that strike you as the two highest points? Not to denigrate the others, but those are the ones that stick out to me.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And the Tribune, because that was the first one.
That was one.
So, but you've had a lot of articles written. Where do I have this? Almost there. Okay, we've got. Really nice articles too. The Kangaroo Dads and the Huffington Post and the CNN Heroes, White House Science Fair. I enjoyed watching that video of you and Bill Nye.
Yeah.
He's always been a hero of mine too. And the Hidden Heroes CBS News, rather recent. Hidden Heroes Kangaroo Cup.
Yeah, Hidden Heroes was just like last year.
You mean it was a repeat of CBS?
Yeah, CBS Hidden Heroes. Right. That was like in 2016.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of your more recent. You want to talk about was that for local CBS or national CBS?
I believe it was national. You might have to ask my dad.
I know it was national. Never mind. I'm sorry, but how was that? Was that a special event for you, or was it? I don't mean to denigrate it, but when you get on get on a publicity roll, which you've been on with this product over the last couple of years, it's what's today? Okay, another interview. It gets a little old sometimes, I imagine.
Yeah,
or does
sometimes
it? Or
does.
is it still kind of thrilling and fun?
Yeah, sometimes it does, but I still really enjoy it. But yeah, it's I wouldn't say it was extremely like special to me, but it was like I think it was like a pretty cool experience.
Do you think the press, so to speak, the TV and CNN and so forth and so on, have all the stories about it, incredible kids make it better? They seem to have all been rather complimentary. Do you have a good impression of the press from that?
Oh yeah, I do.
But do you ever get? Well, put it another way. Do you ever get? I mean, I was on a book tour for a couple of weeks, and and they just schedule you full with interviews, and I could have done without any more interviews after a while. Do you ever get that feeling, or do you enjoy it? Again, you're choosing what you're going to enjoy in life, and if you're in business or you're in entrepreneurship, you're going to be doing a lot of this one way and another. And the question is, do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it. I really like talking to people and like interviews and yeah.
And all from does the you talk about business? Are you talking about entrepreneurship type of business? Sort of what your father does. I mean, he's an inventor. You're an inventor, and an entrepreneur, and so you have been an entrepreneur. That the kind of business you're talking about? Because there's all kinds of business.
Yeah, I think he's talking about like the entrepreneur type.
And that involves sales. And it takes a certain kind of aggressiveness to be to make the sales work. I was never a natural. I mean, just sharing with you, I was never a natural. When I worked for a community paper, I had to sell ads at some point as a kid. I just hated doing that. It just did not come natural to me to go into a store and pretty much say, hey, you want to put an ad in the paper, but find a nicer way to do it than that. But it did not appeal to me. You talk about theater. Did you ever have it must have happened. Did you ever have a night, just even if you have a number of performances where everything goes well, but one night where things went wrong and it didn't work out and it just wasn't a good night, good performance?
I've never really had a performance, like, when it comes to, like, theater, I've never really had a performance where, like, everything was just kind of ruined. It's like, it's always like we pull through if something goes wrong. But there was this one play that I did actually last year. It was High School Musical Junior, and but it was a class, like the musical was like put in as like a class. So we didn't really have a lot of these people, like they weren't really like theater drama kids. It was like they weren't really like theater drama kids, so sometimes like they wouldn't really get the memo on how to do something, and sometimes it would get confusing, especially like opening night. So yeah.
Or somebody. Do you ever forget your line?
Huh?
You ever forget your lines? It happens sometimes.
Yes, I just improvise.
Yeah, well, well, again, that can either be an experience you look back with not badly, or some people think that's the most exciting part of people I know in theater. That's the most important, exciting part, when something goes wrong, you forget a line, or a piece of scenery isn't there, or whatever. That's what makes it exciting and fun. It just depends on how a person mixes with temperament. Okay, well, if you think of, I'll break this off for now. We're set for next Sunday. I believe that I've got the appointment sheet. If you do think of again, something, drop me an email or just have it in mind. We can chat about it on Sunday when we talk about things that have been left out and that sort of thing.
Yes.
And one other thing, I asked you about I got to ask your dad about the music in that video. It's just nice to man, I can't remember if I've asked you this question or not, but just in case, that Wisconsin pottery student who helped you out when you were in Jingdezhen that first time, you don't remember his first name? Do you remember his first name? Jim
no,
or Joe okay, maybe your dad does. It's nice to have details like that, and we'll see if they exist. And by the way, I checked. I did some reporting, and I think the place you went to in Jingdezhen where they had the empty tiger cage, and see if this rings a bell, was the People's Park of Jingdezhen. Does that sound right? Or yeah, but I did some reporting, and it's in Jingdezhen, and it's a zoological park, so that's where you'd find a tiger. But anyway, we'll keep working on just getting those details right. So I thank you again, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days.
All right. You too.
Okay, thanks, Billy.
All right. Bye.